He thought he'd only want a pile of junk. But when Marcus Hill, a broke single father of 4, unlocked the dusty storage unit, he found something buried that was never meant to see daylight again. A sealed box, a fading note, and the kind of secret that could destroy powerful lives. What started as a desperate bid to survive would soon reopen a murder case the world forgot, and change his family's fate forever. Before we go any further, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Now let's begin. Marcus Hill breathed shallow in the auction crowd and tried to look like a man with more than $18 left. The noon heat stuck to his back, tasting of rust and asphalt. Beside him, bidders laughed and cursed, flipping through clipboards as if fortune were a habit. He was invisible here, a man whose shoes had lost their shine, whose wallet carried more air than bills. But he'd come for a reason. One lucky bid could keep his kids fed another week. Unit 24B, the auctioneer shouted, voice bouncing off metal doors. Someone cracked open a can of soda. Fizz hissed like a warning. The steel shutter rolled up, releasing a breath of dust and memory. Inside, crooked lamps, suitcases, a warped cabinet, a baby stroller missing a wheel. Junk City, someone muttered behind him. Marcus's stomach pinched. He pressed his thumb against the faded hospital wristband he still wore, a reminder of the night his youngest, Noah, was born and the day their mother never came back. Starting at $10, the auctioneer barked. Hands lifted lazily. 15. 17. Marcus swallowed. 18. A few heads turned. A man in a denim cap snorted. The gavel cracked. Sold. $18. That sound hit Marcus's chest like a drumbeat of hope. He exhaled, shoulders sagging, and signed the slip with a borrowed pen. The woman in the green visor smirked. Brave or foolish, can't tell which. He smiled back without showing teeth. Guess we'll find out. Inside, the air was thick and dry, tasting of paper and rust. Marcus tugged on his gloves, his only good pair, and began sorting. Donate. Sell for parts. The rhythm kept his mind from wandering to empty cupboards and overdue rent. He texted the kids. Almost done. Be good. A typing bubble appeared, then vanished. He pictured them at the bus stop bench, sharing fries, pretending they weren't hungry anymore. He turned back to the cabinet. Something about it felt off. Too heavy for its size. Tape stretched tight across it seemed like a secret trying to breathe. He pulled the tape. It peeled away with a sigh. The cabinet's interior was dark, lined with faded velvet. And there, tucked beneath the fabric, sat a dented tin box. It was unremarkable except for the latch, which looked handmade, old world. He ran a finger over the metal. Cool. Solid. He listened. No footsteps. No watchers. Only the muffled hum of the city outside. The latch clicked. A small dry sound. Marcus froze. Then opened the lid. Inside, wrapped in linen yellowed by decades, were gold coins, real ones. Each stamped with an insignia he didn't recognize. Beneath them, an old camera rested like a sleeping animal, its leather cracked, its lens clouded white. And under the strap lay a folded note. If found, please return to my family at 49 Langford Avenue. The handwriting was frail, trembling, the ink faded to brown. The paper smelled faintly of cedar and perfume, the kind that lingered after someone elegant had left the room. Marcus's throat tightened. He stared at the coins. For a moment he imagined what 50 of them could do. Rent. Maybe a birthday cake that wasn't day old. He closed his fist around one coin. Its edge bit his skin. Temptation burned like fever. Then he breathed out, a sound half growl, half prayer. Not like this. He slipped the coin back, sealed the box again, and sat in the silence until his pulse slowed. By evening, the storage unit was empty except for his borrowed truck loaded with junk. The tin box rode shotgun, glinting in the dying sun. At each red light, the metal caught the glow like an ember. Decide who you are before the night ends, he thought. Home smelled of boiled noodles and crayons. Mariah, the oldest, was helping Noah glue paper stars to a cereal box. The twins, Sam and Lila, were arguing over a cracked tablet screen. Find anything cool, Dad? Noah asked, eyes wide. Marcus forced a grin. Maybe. Depends on your definition of cool. He handed them a chipped lamp. Could be art if we paint it. Lila laughed. We're rich in imagination. He smiled, but his gaze drifted to the note in his pocket. 49 Langford Avenue. A world away from their flickering light bulb apartment. That night, when the kids slept, Marcus stood by the window watching the city burn softly in orange haze. He unfolded the note again. No phone number. Just that address, written by a hand that trembled from age or fear. He whispered to himself, "Tomorrow?" and decided he would drive there. Morning came pale and cold. He packed the tin box carefully into a duffel, kissed each sleeping child on the forehead, and stepped into the gray dawn. His truck coughed twice before starting. Langford Avenue lay across town, a neighborhood built for the kind of people who didn't check price tags. The road narrowed, then widened again into a world of hedges, wrought iron gates, and driveways long enough to hide regrets. He parked on the curb, feeling the contrast bite. His dented truck looked like an intruder. The mansion at 49 was tall, stone-faced, veins of ivy clinging like memory. Windows glinted gold in the morning light. Marcus hesitated, then knocked. The sound echoed. Moments later, the door opened to reveal a woman perhaps in her late 60s, posture straight, eyes alert despite the fatigue that framed them. "Yes?" she asked, voice both careful and curious. "Ma'am," Marcus began, throat dry, "I found something that might belong to your family." Her brows lifted slightly. "My family?" He unzipped the duffel, revealing the tin box. When the light caught the metal, she inhaled sharply. "My God!" She reached out but didn't touch it. That's my mother's." "Where did you find this?" Marcus hesitated. "A storage auction. The unit was abandoned." He gestured to the box. It felt wrong to keep it. The woman's eyes filled with disbelief and something softer. "Please come in." Inside, the mansion smelled of lemon polish and fading roses. Pictures lined the hall, sepia faces trapped behind glass, the kind of family that once hosted garden parties and silenced rumors with champagne. The woman led him into a drawing room where a clock ticked too loudly. "I'm Clara Hart," she said finally, sitting. "And that box belonged to Evelyn Hart, my mother." Marcus set it on the table. Clara's hand trembled as she traced the lid. "She vanished in 1972. They said she left, ran away with someone. But I never believed it." She opened the lid carefully, as though afraid the air might tear the moment apart. Gold gleamed faintly, untouched by time. Beneath it, the old camera waited. Clara's breath hitched. "She carried this everywhere. My father hated it, said she wasted film." Marcus nodded toward it. "There's still a roll inside." Her eyes widened. "After all these years? Could be something on it," Marcus said. "Maybe something important." For a long moment, Clara simply stared at him, searching for motive, for a lie. She guided him down a hall that smelled of old paper. .ina study lined with dusty books. She opened a drawer and withdrew a folder. Faded police reports, yellowed letters, photographs. "They closed her case after 3 months, she said quietly. "No body, no suspects. Just whispers she'd eloped with my father's business partner." Marcus frowned. "Do you think she did?" Clara's mouth twisted. "She left her wedding ring on the table and her dog on the porch. Does that sound like someone running away?" He shook his head. "No, ma'am. It doesn't." The fire crackled behind them, wood sighing in the hearth. Clara turned to him again. "You could have kept the coins. Why bring this here?" Marcus rubbed his neck. "I thought about it, but I've got 4 kids. They see what I do. I want them to see I did the right thing, even when it hurts." Her eyes glistened. "You sound like her." More hours passed. Police were called, arrangements made to develop the film. An evidence technician promised results soon. As they waited, Clara poured coffee, the fragrance mingling with furniture polish. "When I was a girl," she said, "Mom told me the truth can hide, but it can't stay quiet forever." Marcus smiled faintly. Maybe she left this box so it could finally speak. When he left that afternoon, sunlight fractured through clouds. Children rode bikes, laughter echoing down manicured streets. That he thought of his own kids, paint spattered and loud, and how he couldn't wait to tell them he'd done something good. That night, back home, while the apartment murmured with sleeping breaths, he sat by the window. Outside, sirens hummed somewhere far away. That he held the note again, tracing the ink with his thumb. Somewhere across the city, a technician was coaxing images from that old roll of film, ghosts learning to breathe. Marcus didn't know what truths those photos would reveal. But deep down, something told him, whatever slept inside that film would not stay silent much longer. He looked toward the room where his children slept. A faint smile touched his lips. Tomorrow might change everything. 3 days after Marcus returned the tin box, Detective Lawson called. The film from Evelyn Hart's old camera had been developed. In the gray-walled precinct, she spread black and white photos across the table. Images that breathed dust and truth. At first, Evelyn smiled at garden parties, then the tone shifted. A man's hand gripped her arm beside a lake. In the final frame her eyes stared straight into the lens, frightened, pleading, as if she knew it was her last photograph. Lawson tapped the photo. "We believe this man is Richard Crane, her husband's partner. Rumor said they ran away together." Marcus frowned. "And you think she didn't?" Lawson's reply was a whisper. "I think she never left at all." When Clara Hart arrived, elegant but trembling, she looked at the photos and broke. "She was trying to warn me," she whispered. "They said she ran, but she was taken." The detective promised the case would be reopened. That evening Clara called Marcus back to Langford Avenue. In the attic that once belonged to her mother they searched through dust and shadows until Marcus found a false panel behind a shelf. Inside lay a second roll of film labeled for Clara. The new negatives revealed what the first ones hid. Evelyn in her husband's study, a struggle, an arm with a familiar ring, a body dragged out of frame. And the final image, her husband, Thomas Hart, reflected in a broken mirror. He had killed her and buried the truth. The revelation shattered Clara. Headlines followed, the city buzzing with a 50-year scandal reborn. But peace was brief. One night Marcus returned home to find his door open, drawers overturned, and on the table a single unfamiliar photograph. Thomas Hart shaking hands with a man wearing a Silver Lake Foundation pin. On the back, in block letters, someone had written, "She wasn't the only one." Marcus stared into the dark, the message burning in his mind. He knew then the story was far from over. Rain pressed against the windows as Marcus sat with the photograph, debating between fear and conscience. He couldn't walk away. The next morning he met Detective Lawson, placed the photo on her desk and said, "Someone broke into my home. They left this." Lawson studied the Silver Lake Foundation logo. "They funded Hart Industries. If Evelyn found corruption there, it explains everything." That night Marcus checked the tin box again and discovered a hidden lining. Underneath lay documents, donation ledgers, offshore accounts, pictures of officials shaking hands with the Silver Lake board. One face reappeared in every image, Thomas Hart. It wasn't just murder, it was a network of blackmail and stolen charity money. Evelyn had been silenced for finding it. Marcus took the files to Clara. She read in stunned silence. This could destroy them all. Together they met Lawson, who promised full protection. When investigators verified the papers, the city erupted. Headlines blazed, Silver Lake scandal exposed. Arrests followed, politicians resigned, and Evelyn Hart's name was finally cleared. At the press conference Clara said, "To the man who returned what wasn't his, you gave me back my mother and this city its conscience." Cameras flashed. Marcus only lowered his head, overwhelmed. Weeks later he received a letter from the Hart estate, an envelope trimmed in gold. Inside was a check large enough to erase every debt and a handwritten note. "For choosing truth over comfort. My mother would have called you family." Marcus smiled through tears. His children played in the next room, their laughter echoing like sunlight. He folded the note into his wallet, the only treasure he intended to keep. That night he stood on the balcony, city lights flickering below, and whispered, "You're free now, Evelyn." Somewhere in the wind, it felt as if she whispered back, "Doing the right thing rarely pays quickly. But honesty plants roots that survive any storm." Marcus Hill opened a box for $18. And ended up unlocking a truth worth far more. Proof that integrity is the greatest reward of all.